What's going on, music makers? Nick from Gorley Records here. Today we're going to talk about a really interesting virtual instrument that combines geometry with orbital motion. It is a multi-sampler, it has all kinds of interesting effects, and can do just a million really interesting sounding things. It is called Cube, and it is by Lunacy Audio. It's hard to describe this plugin simply by talking about it, so we're just going to jump right into things. Up front, I will let you know that Lunacy Audio is sponsoring this video, and I am grateful to them for supporting this channel. And of course, them sponsoring this video doesn't impact anything I have to say about Cube, and everything you're going to hear about it is my own personal opinions. And one of the main reasons they're sponsoring is because they want to get the word out that they are currently doing a fall sale. So the Cube software and all their expansion packs are on sale, and we'll talk about that more later in the video. But let's just dive straight into Cube, and I can show you the creative potential that this plugin harnesses.
Holy smokes, we're in the box. Literally, look at this cube. All right, welcome to Cube. So first, I'm just going to go over exactly how this works and kind of show you the parameters of how the sounds are constructed. And then we'll get into demos and stuff, and I think that will make things more clear about what's going on. So this is the main screen here, and we have this cube with this little ball floating around on this orbit. So what this cube is you see these little balls in the corner. We have 8 balls because cube. And each one of these balls, you can load in a sample. And the closer this ball gets to that corner, the louder that sample will get, which makes sounds like this. Now we can change these sounds by messing with the macro knob, which is programmable to a variety of parameters, as well as the ether slider. And of course a filter. So what's happening here? So if we click into this sounds panel here, you can see we have 8 different slots to load different samples. Up here is sort of a cube, kind of highlighting which letter goes into which square. And within each one of these, you can click into these and you have your own ADSR envelope, a little filter section, volume, panning, tuning. You can also do things like solo just this layer, so you can hear just this layer. You have controls to reverse the sample, to loop the sample, or to make the sample monophonic. You just want it to work for a single note. And within here is also a tweak section where you can do even more wild stuff on just one of the 8 sample layers. Just for the sake of demonstrating, I'm actually just going to load up the initial preset, which just kind of empties everything out. And so we'll just have this pluck sound. So in this tweak section, when we have our sample looping, it enables all this loop time and arpeggiator steps, length, velocity, pitch, all of that fun stuff. And within here, you even have some presets for just some various grooves. Just to kind of get you started on things. So these are just all things you can do with just a singular sound, and in the overview, you have 8 sounds total, which means things can get pretty complex. Now, as mentioned before, this ball is going to orbit and it's going to change sort of what you can hear with each of the samples, and the orbits can be changed in this orbits screen, where you can really get pretty detailed with your orbits. So here on the left side, you just have enable orbit on or off. Without it on or off, you can just manually move the ball wherever you want. So as mentioned before, all of our samples here are loaded into these corners. So as this ball gets closer to those corners, the sample will get louder, and as it gets farther away, it will get quieter. And if you're wondering why the ball looks kind of twitchy when I move it, that's because I'm running screen cap software in the background of my computer, and it's pretty taxing on the CPU. So normally when I'm not running my screen cap software, this ball, I assure you, moves real nice and smoothly. Now, obviously, moving it around is great for just general expression as you're playing manually, but if you want this ball to move automatically, that's where you can start using orbits. So you can enable orbit. This is the orbit that was assigned to this preset. So once orbit is enabled, we can change the intensity, which is going to more or less be a dry wet knob of whether the ball just stays perfectly in the center or whether it follows this orbit. And the offset just dictates where on the orbit the ball will start moving. And this allows it to now, as you can see, as the lights get brighter, the sample will get louder. And you can change the orbit speed. Whoa! Here you have rotating of all the axes. And on the right side here is the orbit section. Here is where you can load presets, create your own waves, do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you can just kind of mess around seeing what sort of preset sounds there are and rotate them to make them work with whatever samples you have loaded. You might not always be using all 8 corners. Sometimes you might just be using 4 or 3 or whatever. And if you don't want the presets, you can actually edit each of the things individually. So here's your horizontal, vertical, and depth, XYZ axes. You can actually draw your own paths in here using this little wave shaper tool type thing. So you can get just really weird and wacky with this and draw all kinds of weird orbits. You can also just load in just some, simple circle signs, triangles, whatever, and choose the cycles for each, set min max, offset it. So you can do some pretty wild stuff with this and obviously change your intensities, offsets, rotate it however you wish. There are even randomizers built into Cube. So if you want to like randomize the orbit, you can click this randomize orbit and it will just so even when you already have your samples chosen, the orbit section alone will allow you to get a whole different palette of sounds out of your loaded library. So this is sort of what makes Cube, is the multi-sampling along with the really unique orbit of how it makes the different samples, different audio levels, and can just do all kinds of wild stuff. Okay, so back on the home screen, I have another preset loaded up here. So on the main screen, you have just basic controls to change your sound up. You have this ether slider over here, which is really interesting. So this, as you can tell by the tooltip, controls the fade between dynamics. So something that's really unique to the factory sample libraries of Cube is that they have sort of 2 dynamic layers on them. So let's go to our sounds real quick. Let's just solo just this sound. So this is the sound with the ether all the way down. Now we'll turn the ether up. And it brings in the other dynamic layer. So every sound out of every sample library within Cube has these 2 dynamic layers on it, and this ether slider lets you sort of flip in between the 2. This is kind of similar to maybe what you'd see on some Spitfire audio plugins. And so every sample here is going to have these dynamic layers on it. I'm going to click global controls just so these are just the same 4 sliders you have on this main screen. They're just on every page this way, so that way you can see me change the ether slider so you can hear kind of an idea of what these different sounds sound like as you change the ether slider. So really expressive, really interesting stuff. And this macro knob, this is mapped to whatever this macro modulator is assigned to. And that brings me into the next tab here, which is the modulators. So within Cube, there are 4 LFOs. These LFOs have a variety of different wave types, and you can also draw in your own waves here, which is really interesting. The LFOs can also become step sequencers, and you also have a mod matrix here, which allows you to see everything that is mapped to other stuff. And you can also create mappings here as well. So if you didn't want to use these modulator sections to say, drag, LFO1 onto whatever, LFO2 onto whatever, macros onto whatever, you can instead use this mod matrix to assign everything. So you have your source on the left here, your target on the right, and your target, when you select this target down here, you can choose your target from whatever screen it's in, so it makes it really easy to find what you're looking for. So you can go into your effects or whatever, change a mix for a bit crusher, and now your LFO is adjusting that. And this macro knob just is there to control whatever is assigned to macro. Now every preset in the description will tell you what the macro does, which is super nice. And it changes with every single one of them. And you also get sort of a description of what it is, as well as who the author was. Shout out to Venus Theory. And also on this page, you just have just a basic filter to get some quick control there. And lastly, we have the effects tab up here. So there are 8 different effects. However, within some of these, there are a couple different options. So you have and this is the signal chain for the effects as well. And the signal chain cannot be modified. This is just how it is, but it's a pretty standard signal chain. So you have your filters with 4 different types of filters on here. You have an EQ you can utilize, and you can just click and drag on here to just modify your spectrum how you choose. You also have a distortion effect, which has a saturator, a wave shaper, and a bit crusher. Now you don't have to have all these enabled, so on each effect, you can either press this little pink dot at the top to turn them on and off, or you can just simply press the names of the ones you want on, so you can turn on and off whichever ones you choose. If you're going to get into messing with a lot of the distortions, I also recommend you turn on the dynamic layer, because things will start to get really loud, and just ensure that you got some compression going. The dynamic section with the compressor also has a makeup gain if you like to use makeup gain. Otherwise, you can adjust your input and output into and out of the compressor. You got just your standard chorus and phaser. You have a delay. In the reverbs, there's actually 2 reverb algorithms. There is simple and convolution, and within the convolution, you can change your impulse response to quite a few different presets. I think it's actually pretty unique. They've included a convolution reverb into this. You typically don't see this in a lot of plugins, and convolution reverbs are very nice and very fancy. So it's pretty cool that you not only have one in here, but you have a whole bunch of different impulse responses built into the plugin. And it can also even be combined with the simple reverb if you want to just totally space out. So pretty unique features there. And then you just have a limiter to make sure that the plugin isn't outputting anything to bananas, obviously. So these are all the different sections of Cube. It's I think pretty simple to use. I think the most complex thing is dialing in the orbits, and this definitely takes some practice to build the ideal orbit you're looking for. And that's really only if you're trying to make like an exact path. But again, there are so many presets in here that you can probably find for the most part something you're looking for, at least to sort of get you started. The preset section is also really nice. It allows you to like the ones that are your favorites. You can explore everything. You can also divide things up by the different packs. Canopies is their newest pack, which also has come out with their fall sale. You can also pick a random preset, which I always love this as a feature. You can also browse by author. So if there is a certain someone that you like their sounds, you can find them specifically. And of course, if you don't want to bother digging through presets and just want to create something fast, again, there are these randomizers for sounds, orbit, and for effects. So you can just click any of these, and it will, let's just click all 3 and just see what it created. 1, 2, 3.
So as mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that Lunacy Audio is sponsoring this video is to get the word out about their fall sale. So right now they have 40% off site-wide on their store. So right now you can get Cube for $99. Normally it's $179. And you can also pick up whatever expansion packs that inspire you the most. It's honestly a pretty good deal. For $100, you're basically getting an entirely new virtual instrument engine. And since you can upload your own samples to this thing and have your own user library folder of samples, you can really grow this thing as much as you want to. There's obviously already a few different sample engines that already exist out there, and they run the full gamut of the price spectrum. But I can say I've never seen anything like Cube that uses this orbital motion and these 8 different samples and these corners to just create these really interesting sounds in this way. And I think when you approach sound design from this angle, you can just create some really unique sounds that you can't really hear or get from other samplers. And all the different expansion packs they have of the different sounds and the new sample libraries you get with each pack are just so unique and rich, and it's just amazing how quickly and easy you can create just really high quality, compelling sounds. I'd almost compare this more to like Spitfire audio plugins than I would any other sampler, because while you can upload your own samples and use the engine as you want to, however you want to, the sample library content included with these is just of a supreme quality. I personally find this plugin very inspiring, and the fact that you can get so many layered sounds just out of one instance of an instrument is just really relaxing and refreshing. I'm probably also going to have some live streams in the future as well, where I just make tracks using Cube, because it has percussions, it has strings, it's got synthesizers, the sample libraries are just totally bananas. And I kind of want to challenge myself to make like a small EP of just using Cube. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see those follow-up live streams and the end result of trying to make an EP just using this thing. So now I'm just going to run through a couple different presets that I like from a variety of the different expansion packs, and you can decide for yourself how inspiring this is for you and if this is something you maybe want to add to your collection.
And in case you're wondering, yes, it can bram.
Well, that's Cube. I hope this in-depth video was useful to you. There is a link down below if you want to check out Cube and take advantage of their fall sale. And thanks again for Lunacy Audio to supporting this video. It really means a lot that you support channels like mine. And again, be sure to subscribe and stick around if you want to check out some of these live streams where we are going to produce full tracks with Cube. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Otherwise, live outside the box, my friends. Or inside the cube, perhaps. Eh? I'll see you later.